So Pearl Harbor, described as a tragic war film, Pearl Harbor combines romance and action from director Michael Bay and is produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Bruckheimer. That's a strange name. Despite its middling critical reviews, you need to shut up.
Pause.
No, you pause.
Even I know that one!
Well, I probably don't know the name. I probably know what he's
the guy who produced Pirates of the Caribbean and all the CSI, and he's like the most famous producer of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a place to start. Despite its middling critical reviews, the film was a major commercial success, picking up close to $450 million worldwide on a budget of $140 million. The film was sadly nominated for 4 Academy Awards and took home 1 victory for sound editing. Genre conversation fave Roger Ebert was one of those vocally against Pearl Harbor because it was balls. He commented that the film has been directed without grace, vision, originality, and although you may walk out quoting lines of dialogue, it will not be because you admire them. In contrast, Andrew Saris of New York Observer had one of the lone positive reviews, commenting, Pearl Harbor is not so much about World War II as it is about movies about World War II, which I will agree with.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor has since provoked much debate, artistic licensing taken by filmmakers.
Good English.
Yeah.
That was not a sentence.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor has since provoked much debate about autistic licensing taken by filmmakers.
It's just autistic, it's artistic.
Well, I don't think this movie knows the difference. The Wikipedia section on historical inaccuracies stretches to close to 1,400 pages, and many survivors were disappointed with the film. I wonder why. The soundtrack for the film Team America World Police.
America!
Why the fuck is that in here? It has a song lampooning Pearl Harbor.
Because I thought it was funny.
May I suggest that next time you limit yourself to things more credible than Wikipedia? God damn, man. Like, Team America World Police?
That movie's great. Are you kidding me? I love that movie.
I've never seen
that movie has negative credibility.
I know, that makes it great.
Anyway, so this movie happened. I think I hate this movie, but I am going to say that out of this list,
this is the best
is
one.
the most watchable.
Have either of you guys seen the movie From Here to Eternity?
No, and it's not on our list.
No, it's not. But basically what I understood when watching this movie was I understood both why Michael Bay is a bad director and what this movie is. Michael Bay comes from...
is very expensive crap.
It is really expensive. Michael Bay comes from basically a set of filmmakers called the VCR filmmakers, and included in this group includes like David Fincher, Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson.
I'm just kind of offended that you're lumping them.
No, I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain this. They were guys who didn't go to film school. That's their sole linking trait. They didn't go to film school. They instead watched a lot of movies, started making music videos, and eventually, or vice versa, and eventually broke into the Hollywood scene. Michael Bay is one of those directors in that he has all those same paths, but the difference between him and those great 3 directors
because he didn't learn anything.
He doesn't know how to sustain a film. He understands the potency of a single image. If you watch that, like the weird airport hangar sex scene again, it plays a lot like the infamous kiss from Here to Eternity. The visual style looks a lot like late 40s, early 50s World War II film. The issue is you can't sustain that for the whole movie. There's a like when that's all you're doing is using nothing but sunsets, using nothing but close-ups.
Actually,
don't actually develop the characters.
That would be great if we took this movie and butchered it, but we just took hear me out.
You cut it,
cut it up,
yeah,
and just take still pictures.
Yeah,
this movie would actually be quite striking in that regard
because it looks good.
The pictures have something to say.
The pictures look good. The sound editing is great. Like when he cuts to another image, that's great. That's a fan. Like I actually feel like that was a deserved Academy Award.
I am going to say though
the issue with
I
the
feel
movie,
like the other directors learned much more about film than he did
because
when
they
were
realized,
watching films.
yeah, they realized that yes, a great image is awesome. You can't do that for 3 hours.
No.
You just can't sustain a movie for 3 hours doing that.
You know, it's kind of a pity because I feel like if Michael Bay was more of a photographer,
yeah,
took some
if
of
he
took
was
some of his
just
film
a cinematographer,
took some of his film resources and focused on photography,
It'd be great.
if
I
he
think
just
he
made-
would be a standout talent,
If he
which
just
is
made
kind
an
of ironic.
experimental film, like the best part of all of these like things like Transformers and Men in Black 2 and
Have been the
Armageddon
still images.
is the still images.
I hate Transformers.
I
It's-
hadn't
it's
even thought
terrible.
about that until you brought it up.
It's terrible,
But yes,
but the image, like
the
when
image
you-
sticks with you.
the image sticks with you, even though it's completely awful.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
as much as I
what
think
makes
this
it
movie is
awful is the in between.
writing, yeah,
The
and-
pictures are great, but
Yeah.
the things in between are where it tanks.
and the fact that he doesn't understand pacing, doesn't understand character development, doesn't understand like I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. He doesn't understand how to basically make a 3-hour movie or
Or
a 2-hour
likable
movie.
protagonists.
Yeah, like how to like where to end his movie. I mean, hell, all of his movies are about a good hour too long. Can you tell me anything in this movie that happens after Pearl Harbor? I sure as hell can't. I don't remember anything that happened after Pearl Harbor. Like,
Oh,
there's
right.
a whole other hour of this movie after
Yeah,
Pearl Harbor. I don't remember
there's-
any of it.
Dead. Oh yeah,
There's the
they go
Doolittle.
with the
There's the
brother.
Doolittle
You know,
raid, but I don't remember any of it.
honestly,
I just
that was really excessive. I would have, in Pearl Harbor, the brother dies, and the other guy's like, "Sorry, lady, I guess you have to go back to smexing with me because my bro's dead." And you have your sad little tragedy about Pearl Harbor and not bringing in additional scenes from the war. They didn't need to be here. They didn't belong in the movie about Pearl Harbor. If you want to make a war movie, yes, other battles belong, but this is not that movie. This is a movie that's supposed to be specifically about Pearl Harbor.
And you think about it too, like the reason that this movie ends up being so offensive is because, and I'm gonna, is
The
because
gravity of the mistakes it makes is what I would say.
yes, the gravity of the mistakes is really the issue, but what causes that is the fact that he does such a terrible job with character development because he's so concerned with that one image.
Yes.
He doesn't.
Well-
no, but he doesn't develop Ben Affleck's character.
No.
he doesn't develop whatever her face's character.
Kate Beckinsale.
Sorry,
Whatever her
I love
face.
her. Kate Beckinsale's character enough to the point where he has to basically drop a bomb on her, like
Well-
in order for you to get any emotional investment out of it. Like as awesome as nice as the action sequences are in the film, they're so you can't connect them because there's nobody on that ship that you've seen all movies.
Actually,
Like
yeah, that was part of the whole problem with the. I will say, the action scenes in Pearl Harbor look very good.
they're
Oh,
great.
The
they were
still
amazing.
images of Pearl Harbor look
They're
great. But when the entire battle scene was going on in Pearl Harbor, which was obviously meant to be a very tragic scene, I had zero emotional connection.
because
I
there's
felt like
no-
I was watching a really good action scene, yes. But I didn't feel like I was watching a tragedy, even though I know the event itself is tragic, and I know the movie is trying to be a tragedy.
because there's no characters.
There's no characters
And you're
there you
sitting
care
in a
about,
theater,
and you're
That's
not
the difference.
worried about
You're
the
not-
characters who are there.
You're not actually at Pearl Harbor. You're
Well,
in
sure,
a theater.
but there's
Like-
nothing a director can do about that.
The way to overcome that, have good characters that
Yeah,
are in
connect
the
to
battle.
people.
Yes, but
That's
then again,
the-
you're still not at Pearl Harbor, so
No,
that's
like-
not fair
I'm not
to
saying-
say.
What's it?
But
If we had made just
No,
a random
it's-
connection to a captain on the ship, let's say you take a captain, put him on the ship, have his perspective, his eyes, his face expression, like that Kate Beckinsale scene, like the one with like her eyes and she's looking at one of the sunset scenes. Take something like that. Have the planes coming in, the captain looking at that, and the face that I imagine in my mind of that sorrow of, oh my God, what the hell? That would have made a tragic scene, and that
Yes.
would have made that scene better.
you need there are a number of characters introduced in these movies.
They're just
And
they're not even
This
at
is
the
going to
battle.
sound somewhat ironic. More of them should have died.
Yeah,
They're not at the battle.
The
either, which
tragedy
is
of Pearl
dumb.
Harbor
with people.
seemed remarkably survivable in this movie.
Well, yeah, because
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Well, no, look
lives.
at it.
Cuba
Look.
Gooding Jr. lives. Like they all live except for
They all lived,
Danny.
except for the brother,
Yeah.
who was
Josh Hart-
arbitrarily
Josh
killed
Hart-
in an
Josh-
extra mission because the director didn't kill him off where he should have.
Well, that's not actually an extra very mission. That was a real mission, but
No, it is a
It's
real
real
mission.
mission.
It's extra to the plot of the
yeah,
story.
it's just
This story's like, oh crap, we don't have a resolution yet. We need them to be in battle once again so we
Yeah,
can off someone.
We didn't kill him yet. We have to
need
kill
a
him
happy
also.
ending. We need a sort of like,
A lot of stuff needs to be scrapped and focused. I think this movie gets distracted in trying to do too much, but achieving too little in terms of character.
Yeah.
Think about the fact that it has
Everyone,
183-minute runtime.
everyone who was involved, all the major characters should have been at Pearl Harbor because your movie is about Pearl Harbor.
Not sleeping
We
in
should
a car.
be there. Yeah,
Which
not
looks
sleeping
like,
in the car.
which I know you love that
And the
shot
nostalgia
from.
critic kind of
from
commented
here,
on
yeah.
this. But then you know what? Have them sleeping in the car by Pearl Harbor.
I know you love that shot of From Here to Eternity. You can compensate. Have the car at the airbase.
Yeah,
Very easy.
done.
Like
You can have it in a field by the airbase. But by taking the immediate...
on the other freaking side of the island.
Yeah, well, not even that. It could be right there. It could, these are military bases, but it is in Hawaii. They do have things like hills in Hawaii. You can put it on a hill by the airbase. No harm
Or at least
done.
have it in the shot.
Yeah.
Like if you
But-
put it on a hill, like with the sunset and the same theme, come up the hill, there's a car parked at the top, ocean sunset, look down, there's the airbase. That connects you more to Pearl Harbor than it would just to have it some random place in the middle of nowhere.
You know, have Danny or the guy with the stutter, or whoever, have the guy with the stutter get killed off very quickly as soon as the Japanese start the
When he
attack round.
says Japs are attacking and then
Yeah,
he gets
he
hit right
should-
there. He should get
Yeah,
hit right
because
there.
then-
He should
then
be
you
he should be
feel
gunned
like,
down right there because
That would
I
have
mean,
worked. You would have
we
felt
weren't
like
too
crap.
attached to him, but there was something that he could have played with to make you make a
You're like,
connection. to
oh,
what's
it's Stutter
even-
Dude. And
Or
Yeah.
even like do it so if there's two ways you could have done that with that idea. One, build him up in the first little bit, crash down suddenly, because then for the rest of the battle scene you feel like crap. You're like, oh my god, he just died. I can't believe he just died.
And have
And
the
then you feel
have the
like
main
that.
characters there because you're like,
Mhm.
I don't know if he's going to kill anyone else off or
The
not.
other
And for the first time, you're tense and invested in the scene.
the other
instead
way
of doing it where you have to basically attack a hospital.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that's
Because
Yeah.
that was
So-
a grievous historical
and
error.
that never happened.
That
Or
never
you have
happened.
to have 7 battleships from the fleet that weren't actually there that day.
Yeah. The big problem with this movie is it's called Pearl Harbor, but Pearl Harbor is an event that happens in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
If your movie is called Pearl Harbor, your centerpiece, everything that the movie builds around should be solely Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a romance, it better be related to Pearl Harbor. If you're going to have characters, they better be at Pearl Harbor. Your movie should start and end slightly before the attack on Pearl Harbor and slightly after the attack on Pearl Harbor, because that is what this movie is supposed to be about. It doesn't need to stretch through, aerial battles beforehand. It doesn't need to stretch into battles afterwards. Just focus on Pearl Harbor. Tell the story that Americans want to see about Pearl Harbor, because that was the event.
It was. At least be focused on something. Like, there's too many problems with that, and you're not focused, and you just lose everything that you do in your movie.
The thing that got me is Pearl Harbor's only about 20 minutes in this film.
No, Pearl Harbor's a full hour.
Is it
Yeah,
that?
the Pearl
It
Harbor's a full
seems
hour.
too short.
It's three. The acts are divided by hour. The first
Right.
act is character development. The second act is Pearl
Supposedly.
Harbor. Supposedly, the second act is Pearl Harbor. The third act is I don't even remember anything that happened in the third act.
The third act is they have this random bombing mission.
They
that
go on the Doolittle raid, and then they end up in
Uh,
China, and
Brother guy gets offed arbitrarily.
and happy
then-
ending. Yay!
Then they
Yay.
come back and remaining protagonist
Did I hit something?
No, you're fine.
the remaining protagonist gets other brother's sloppy seconds and agrees to raise his son.
It's actually
and
more like
call him
sloppy
Danny and
thirds.
stuff.
It's actually more like sloppy thirds because.
Well, no, because he never got any the first time.
That's true.
That is incredibly sexist of me. I apologize. But I would like to say in my defense that that is how the movie portrays this female love interest.
Really, there should be another. The whole hour should be cut of this movie.
Honestly,
the
I
movie
would've-
is 183 minutes in runtime.
I would have cut 50 minutes out of the last hour. I would keep the ending bit where they're kind of trying to remake their family after everything that's happened and how
But
shit's
then
gone
have
down,
it
how it's
after
affected the
Pearl
law.
Harbor instead
Yeah.
of that mission.
Danny Croaks at
At
Pearl
Pearl
Harbor,
Harbor.
the focus of the movie, and I would have cut at least half hour out of the character development because it wasn't that effective in the
Yeah, it was
first
shitty
thing.
anyway. So.
Quality over
And then
quantity.
Yeah.
suddenly, look
So
at
you
that.
have to build
you have
up.
a 100-minute
You have the Pearl Harbor main centerpiece. and then you have a short end to the movie,
Done.
which tells
Great.
everything that you needed to say and everything that this movie tries to say.
Don't have to drop a bomb on a hospital.
Yeah.
Don't have to have 7 battleships there that weren't there. Don't have to have that captain at the golf course. Don't have to do all these ridiculous
All of
things.
these
throw in
pointless
that.
things.
Throw in instead that captain of one of those ships
Yeah.
who's sitting there. Have the crew show them working there and how useless that scene was because. Like, historically, it was terrible because it was so unexpected, and these poor innocent people got killed for no reason. So show that instead of
Yeah,
just,
you have to. The problem is, the film, like, that was a major part of Pearl Harbor,
Mhm.
and they kind of discuss it here, but not really.
Yeah, it was just,
Again, he discusses it in visuals. The soldier comes up on deck holding a toothbrush. I don't know about you, I would have dropped my toothbrush and grabbed my gun.
I love it. Well, what's
I wouldn't
frustrating
still be
about
rushed.
what's
I
frustrating
would
about
still be
that?
worried about my dental health.
The frustrating part about that is that he's using the toothbrush. I'm fine
Yeah,
with
he's
him coming
using
out.
the
I'm
toothbrush
fine
when
with
he
him come out
comes
using
up.
it, look confused.
Well,
When they
he
come
confused,
back to him
and
later,
they're like,
he's
"Oh,
hiding under something
fuck."
with a toothbrush.
Yeah,
still.
like, if I saw planes coming for me, I'm like, I'm gonna get my gun. Like, this toothbrush isn't gonna help me anymore. Again,
Yeah.
the reason that scene is there with him and the toothbrush,
So you can
is the
connect to him
image.
later. Of the
No,
guy
it's just
who-
the image.
of the guy who,
well, it's the image.
It's
You have
the
to help with
image.
the
Like,
image.
I was just doing my teeth. Oh, look, I'm being shot at. It's a great
Yeah.
image for
A
Help
picture.
capturing how
Yeah.
someone is caught unaware, and probably much more filmable than him coming up like
Yeah.
with his pants down because he was taking a dump or something.
Yeah.
That's what it's going for. But again, you could have had it more simple things. You could have had like crews doing the like opening duties on the runway
Yeah, just
and
mopping the
maintenance
deck
of the
or
planes
something.
they've checked 100 times.
Speaking
like-
of this, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean, but cleaning the ships or
Yeah, basic crap.
basic things that they would be doing.
And if you built this properly and you have the scope to about 100 minutes, the audience knows something's going to happen, so your attention's pretty
Well,
much done for.
Your title is Pearl Harbor. We know what
Yeah.
happens.
It's not
It's not
Attack
like-
on an Island.
It's
It's Pearl
not,
Harbor.
it's not like you can spoil Titanic. We know the
Yeah.
ship sinks. It's
Well,
Pearl
apparently
Harbor.
not
We
in
know
this case.
things. We know things blow up. We know this is going to happen. You don't have to pretend like we don't know.
And again, my biggest gripe with first off, this movie did need to have a romance.
Yes.
I'm cool with the
Because
romance. I'm
it-
The
not,
romance
well,
is fine.
It
I'm
needs.
not cool
It needs.
with how it just
I'm not. I'm going to get to that. But it's important that the romance is here because, again, lots of romantic lives were disrupted by this event and by the war.
Yeah.
It's good that you're talking about that in your Pearl Harbor movie because the two did have, at least for the time, they were directly related.
Yeah.
You know, soldiers came home and said, "By the way, miss,
Your husband didn't make it.
he got off. Sorry, life sucks. They're there.
Yeah, like.
Deal with life being horrible now." That happened. And I'm not trying to make fun of people suffering like that, although I am talking about it in a light manner. It
Well, it
happened, and it
happened.
really sucked.
It
And this
happened.
movie should discuss it because this movie is supposed to be a tragedy. But if you're gonna have a relationship, actually earn it. You know, the first 5 minutes or so with him talking to her, like,
Mhm.
okay, they weren't great, but they kind of worked.
Yeah.
Something more to it would have been better. Him sleeping with her first may actually have been an improvement.
That would have been great, yeah.
Well,
And that's not
It
something I
would've
really
caught
want
her
to say
attention.
because I feel like her role in this movie is to kind of be the
Prop.
floating bedspread reward for whoever happens to be alive at the time.
yeah.
She has no character. Like she passes this one guy in the eye exam and she's helping do eye exams. I'm pretty sure there's more to her than that. And I'm pretty sure you
Yeah.
could say a bit more without
I
compromising
don't
your
know.
focus.
If you're
But-
wanting to do, like, pick your focuses for a movie and execute them thoroughly.
Yes.
Like, this all goes back to what we say all the time. Know your role, know what your goals are, and do them. Don't
Execute
just
them.
float around them. Because if you want to execute a proper romance, you need to put the effort into the romance. You need
Yeah,
to show
you need the
character
time.
development. If you didn't want to have the romance and you just wanted this to be here's the war, here's two brothers in a war, the brother will die, like you could show
Yeah.
something like that. You didn't need to have Kate Beckinsale's character, but then you need to focus on other things like the action. You need to focus on things like that are the terrible habits
I mean-
of Pearl Harbor. But if you want to do romance, you have to do a romance.
Even if you don't want to do a romance because you feel that takes up too much time in your movie, have, they go out to a party, they hit it off, they sleep together, and then
you're
a
done.
few days later, he dies. And you don't really have as much of an emotional connection,
No,
but you have something without compromising what
yeah.
you're trying to say. When you basically have the love interest flip back and forth between them based on who's alive, to me, it cheapens.
Insulting.
It's insulting
yeah.
to the people who were there. Because this movie is supposed to be about the tragedy of Pearl Harbor, saying that there were people at Pearl Harbor, like this woman, who basically just, he's probably dead, so I'll move on to his brother.
I have a backup plan. I'll do that.
I have a backup plan. I'm like, is that really what you want to say about people? I mean, you're not saying about everyone. I know that. But you're still making a statement about
This
the
is
people
your
involved
character.
in
Is
this tragedy.
this what you want to say about your character in this situation? That she is just going to be a floater for whoever's here? Like, is that what you're trying to say? Or do you have to take,
life?
or do you want to take a step back and be like, maybe we should have her be a little more developed. Maybe we should
do something.
Yeah.
Actually, this movie floats live.
Oh, it does.
That's his biggest problem. Think about it. The problem with this movie, again, is that it tries to do too many things, and as a result, does too many things half-heartedly.
Yeah.
It isn't clear about where it should begin and end, and with a title like Pearl Harbor, you'd think it would be. It isn't clear about who matters in the cast, because you have those kind of part moments with people. They're like, oh, is that character going to come back later? No. And, you have all of this crap that, going from months before the event to months after the event, it doesn't know what on earth it's trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been very straightforward.
Yeah.
Guy meets girl, war happens and it sucks. Pearl Harbor,
Guy
girl
dies.
dies, trying to move on and make a family, and thus echo the beginning with the whole thing about how I hope you never have to fight the Germans and never have to be in war.
Yeah.
And there you've made a very succinct and ironically more powerful message than trying to meander over everybody's perspectives.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating about.
I think that pretty much summarizes my griefs with this movie.
Anyways, anybody got a rating out of 5? Caitlin, do you want to?
I would probably have to give this movie a 2. For reasons that you could probably think of.
I gave it 2.5 out of 5. I actually think it's the best.
What's the best of the 3?
It's the best of the 3.
It's the
but that's
best
not
Bay.
saying
It's
much.
the best Bay film, and that's also not saying much. I mean, I like the visual image. I like the editing. Don't really like the message, but you know what? I was
The
entertained
message
enough.
sucks because
The
It's
cinephile,
confused.
the cinephile in me likes the visual and the editing and the sound design enough to actually respect that part of the film.
I am going to agree. There are some things in this movie I respect. The main thing, again, is this movie is disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it tries to... it puts
Patch
way
Adams.
too much attention on things that just aren't that important in terms of the story it's trying to tell. What it's trying to do is trying to be a novel.
Oh, it totally is.
It's trying to be a novel instead of a movie. And it really doesn't work because of that.
Movies
You
can't
have
be
to know your medium.
Can't be a novel in a movie. You can't do it. You don't have
No,
time.
it's just not good, Doug.
Patience.
The audience doesn't have the page. They don't... If the audience wants to read a novel,
They'll go read a novel.
they will read a novel. Make a novel. If you're
Well,
trying to make a
listen.
movie, do the time, do the research, make a movie.
Well, that was our novel on Pearl Harbor. Let's jump into the quiz bowl.
Yeah.
Let's